Hey, what's going on, guys? So it's early in the morning. I woke up pretty early this morning to try to catch the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day. So if you already don't know, I think I may have mentioned in the past, obviously I'm big into Marvel. I love that stuff, but I think Spider-Man might just be my favorite comic book character. He's definitely my favorite Marvel. But I think him or Batman, I think I would go I can't even talk. I would go Spider-Man. He is my absolute favorite. And I grew up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And then in my teens, we had Andrew Garfield and then Tom Holland. It's been quite a journey, especially for Tom Holland in the MCU. We first got him in Captain America Civil War, which came out 10 years ago, which is absolutely insane. And now, flash forward, we've had 3 movies with him, and he's been in a couple Avengers movies. And now he's coming back for a 4th movie. And this one's directed by Daniel Destin Cretton, if I'm not mistaken, which he did Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings a couple years ago, which is an awesome movie. So, we've seen a couple set photos of like this new suit he has and just kind of what they're doing. It's really exciting. It looks like they're getting a different flair to it. Tom Holland has even come out and said that this will be kind of like a reimagining or like a kind of a rebirth of the character, something brand new that we haven't seen before, which is really exciting. So to say that, we got a trailer this morning. I mean, the movie comes out in July, so it's getting about time that they start marketing. I've already seen it, so now I just want to talk about it with you guys and kind of just share what I'm excited for. So first I want to talk about just the look of what we're seeing here. I mean, right out of the gate, we see Peter sitting upside down on this beam and stuff in the middle of New York. I mean, this is just straight up Spider-Man, which is so cool to see, just him hanging around the city, because to be honest, in every time we've seen Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's always been very close to the ground. We haven't really seen him swing around kind of like Tobey and Andrew did. We haven't really seen that side of the character yet. So to finally see him just, among New York and just looking like Spider-Man, that's really exciting. I know that sounds kind of goofy, but it's nice to see it. And then we also get kind of a notion that he's still keeping tabs on MJ and Ned as they're starting in MIT, which is really cool. We're picking back up where we left off with No Way Home. Once we catch up with MJ and Ned, Peter dives off and we get this really cool like shot of Spider-Man just going face down into a free fall, and the suit's rippling, and we get this really, really cool shot of inside Peter's mask through looking in Peter's mask through the lens, which is really cool. We've never seen anything like that. I mean, the cinematography, like the whoever's thinking about doing these shots, it's really, really cool. We're going to see stuff that I don't think we've ever seen before, which is awesome. But later we kind of jump and we see Peter kind of struggling to just be Peter Parker now. He kind of feels like a shadow of himself. We see him kind of sitting and looking at Ned from afar in kind of like a cafe. And we also see him kind of like in his apartment, kind of washing his suit. It kind of gives me the mind of like Spider-Man 2 with Tobey, just doing normal things, which I really like. And we also get a shot of Peter getting the key to the city while MJ and Ned are watching. That's kind of cool. And then we continue to this really cool shot where Peter's kind of running off a building top and is diving down into some action. We see him swinging with, chasing a van, and Frank, the Punisher, hits him with a van, which is so funny. And it shows them having a little back and forth while Peter's trying to also stop this tank or this unit. I'm really excited to see how they incorporate Frank Castle's the Punisher into a PG-13 setting, which I think they're gonna do well and kind of poke and make fun of, which will be cool. Then we see Peter at some kind of college party or some kind of function where he's basically having to watch MJ spend time with her new boyfriend, presumably, which I'm sure is gonna be weighing on him throughout the movie. But I think what's most interesting is that right after this, we see Peter looking completely tired and drained, and he just collapsed to the floor. And he says, "What's happening to me?" And I think this is really interesting because there's been rumors that they're going to adapt a kind of like a comic book storyline where he's mutating, his DNA is changing on him, where he's becoming more spider-like. He's mutating. And this trailer definitely confirms that. We get to see that he's having a full body scan, and that he's trying to get a grasp on what's going on with him. But I think what's most fascinating is this shot where he's more or less waking up in a web cocoon, which is just really cool. And we see him try to spin some webs, and it looks like it confuses him, and he catches himself. We don't really see it, but I think it's implied that he has organic webbing. No different than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man with his organic webbing, which is really, really cool to see. I know some people like him having the web shooters and having to have that play into a fact of, the action of him running out of webs. But honestly, I mean, I kind of don't mind this. We haven't seen this before, of a Spider-Man mutating and becoming more powerful and getting more of his abilities kind of unlocked. as he spends time doing what he does, which I think it's a cool twist this time. And then right after this, we actually see Peter approaching Bruce Banner, who from the looks of it is a college professor at ESU, if I had to guess, which you can see on Peter's sweater. So I'm assuming Peter's going to college here, and then he's either has Banner for a class or he's seeking him out. But he basically, it's neat. I'm guessing he's asking Bruce kind of some advice on what's going on with him. Meanwhile, Bruce kind of looks at him because obviously he doesn't remember who Peter Parker is after the spell that Doctor Strange casted. So it's gonna create a really interesting dynamic of Peter trying to get help from Banner, while I'm guessing also not giving up his secret identity. But really, I'm just curious to see how they handle his life since the spell, because his, every record of him's been wiped, everything, he's a nobody. So I'm really curious to see how Peter handles that, and then how also other people react to someone who they've never met, technically. And then we also get like another look of a drop hitting a body of water, and it looks like it's sending Peter's senses into override. So I'm curious if not only is the organic webbing part of his mutation, but also his spider senses they're being cranked up to 11. That's what I'm assuming. And then this weird shot of his apartment or his room with webs everywhere. I think that's kind of weird or kind of funny. It does put me in the mind of Spider-Man, the original. And then Banner is talking to Peter about how the mutation could be really dangerous, and we get this really cool shot of Peter basically slingshotting himself from another building, which is really cool. And here, if I'm looking carefully, I don't think he has web shooters on his suit. So I'm assuming this is him mutating and using his organic webbing. I'm just assuming that, but it really sends him flying. And then I also love this shot of Peter visiting May's grave. So I'm sure this won't be the only time, but I kind of like that he's still carrying this guilt on his shoulders, and that we will keep exploring that. And as far as this shot, I'm not really sure what's going on here, who this is in this chair. So we'll kind of move on from that. Maybe we'll get some more answers about that. Here, I'm assuming this is a prison from what I remember seeing about them filming somewhere. It looks like a prison raid's going on. We see Spider-Man running into prison, and here we see this same armored vehicle that we saw earlier. Peter pulls off the door and sees an elderly woman looking confused. She's in the driver's seat. So immediately I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then we see other SWAT team or other SWAT members. It looks like they're having their minds kind of taken over and controlled. So I'm assuming that this is all done by Sadie Sink's character, who we know is in the movie. I think she was in Stranger Things. I haven't personally seen the show, but I know who she is. I think we get a quick shot of her right after this. She's obviously someone who can manipulate people, which is interesting. And from the rumors that we've heard about with the Hulk being in this movie, yes, not only Banner, but the Hulk himself, the real Hulk, is this connected to it? Is this how does she manipulate Banner to Hulk out? But right after this, we get this really cool segment with Matt Gargan, the Scorpion. Finally, we've seen, I think it's Michael Mando. We finally have him back, because if you don't remember, we had him in Spider-Man Homecoming, and Peter more or less got him locked up, and he talked to Michael Keaton's the Vulture, and we haven't seen him since. That was in 2017. And people are like, oh, you forgot about the Scorpion. Now he's back, and he's actually in a full costume. It's really cool. I'm really excited to see how much he's in this movie, or just to see him a little bit. I think it'll be really, really cool. But again, the visuals of this are really cool. Like, look at Peter swinging across and hitting this flock of birds, and we get a little more Frank here, and then we also get this really quick shot of Spider-Man and MJ together on a rooftop. And I'm wondering, obviously MJ doesn't remember Peter, but her memory wasn't wiped of remembering her interactions with Spider-Man. Are they going to do kind of what they did in Tobey's Spider-Man, where Spider-Man and MJ had their own little kind of friendship or like banter, even though she didn't know Peter was Spider-Man yet? Are they kind of doing something like that? I'm not sure. And then we get these really cool recreations of like comic book panels, and these really cool shots like this one, Spider-Man's first appearance in Amazing Fantasy right here. And then we also see him fighting Boomerang, which I'm not personally familiar with, but I know who he is. This is a really cool shot. Then we also see him fighting someone called Tarantula, kind of a lower tier villain just like Boomerang. And then the coolest thing, I think, is this shot in the prison where Peter is unmasked, and he's what looks like he's fighting the Hand. And we've actually seen the Hand in Daredevil. So it's really cool to see them here. What in the world is the Hand got to do with any of this? Like, I think that's the thing I'm kind of like struggling to understand right now, because we don't have the information. Is okay, we know Bruce Banner is in the movie to kind of help Peter maybe sort through his mutation issues. Punisher, I kind of want to understand his angle of wanting to be involved with what's going on. Then we know the Hand's in here. There's just a lot of moving pieces, but I'm really excited to see how they fold together. And then we get this really cool shot of Peter opening his eyes, and they look black. I don't know if this is from the same scene or not. I'm not really sure what this is, but I don't know if this is actually part of this this scene, but it's played that way. But what's really, really, really cool is Peter webs this sword of this member of the Hand, and he breaks it just like that, which is so cool. I mean, that's one thing I will give what I've seen so far from this trailer is Tom Holland's Spider-Man really feels like a force to be reckoned with. He's not just some bumbling kid. He looks like he knows what he's doing, and he has just some weight and some experience now. It's about time we got that from him. And then next we get this amazing shot of Spider-Man versus a bunch of ninjas from the Hand in the middle of the city. What I haven't mentioned though is, during this trailer we've also got a voiceover from what I assume is Tombstone. Now, Tombstone is somebody that I'm aware of, that I know of. I've seen him in many different Spider-Man projects, but he's kind of like a entrepreneur, crime boss kind of guy, almost like a kingpin of sorts. We know he's in the movie. I think we've seen like a photo of him, but I think it's his voice over the trailer talking about how a spider has 3 life cycles and how there's a rebirth. Like, I didn't really catch all of it. I've heard it, but I think it's interesting that Tombstone is also in the middle of this. Like, it kind of sounds like they're going to have quite a variety of flavors of characters in this movie while hopefully not overstuffing it. I think it's going to be cool to finally show a different side of Spider-Man's rogues gallery while also exploring different things with the character that we've never seen before, with the mutation aspect, Peter having to struggle with keeping his distance from people he loves, not only because he wants to, but they literally don't remember him, which I think is a really cool plot device that's going to play in this movie's favor. But to cap this trailer off, we actually get an interaction between MJ, Peter, and Ned. And I'm assuming this is kind of out of order. We saw Peter and MJ at a function earlier in the trailer. I'm guessing this is when Peter does show up, or hasn't been there long, and he gives her flowers and says they're a housewarming gift or whatever. Or he's like, I'm just your neighbor. And then MJ's like, a friendly neighbor, and he kind of chokes on his drink. I think it's funny, that little, obviously it's a little poke and nod to the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Either way, that's kind of my quick thoughts on the trailer. I'm really liking what I see. It looks like they're bringing some really creative action and like the way that they filmed the swinging. We haven't seen much, but everything I've seen looks really promising. And I know that they did a lot of practical work from what we saw when they were filming out in, was it London or somewhere in Europe? I'm not sure where that was, but we saw someone actually strapped up swinging, and they were having just real things going on, which I'm really excited about. Again, I think that the director of Shang-Chi, now that he's doing this movie, I think that's a fantastic choice, because Shang-Chi was really creative in the way that they shot their action and the way they framed things. I will always praise Tom Holland, because he always wants to innovate and do something fresh and do something to push the envelope of what he's done with the character. He doesn't want to just stay stale. And I really think that's exciting, because us as fans, we are winning right now. And Tom Holland, he cares a lot about the character and only wants to do it right. I think we have a creative team that really loves Spider-Man and wants to do it right. I think we're set up for success. And everything I've seen so far is really cool. We've got a Spider-Man swinging through New York and being Spider-Man. Tom Holland, a couple years removed from where we last saw him. He's in a groove. The suit, I haven't even talked about it. The new suit looks incredible. I love how simple it is. It's got cues of Tobey and Andrew's suits in there. And I definitely think that's on purpose, which I hope maybe they address with him. Maybe taking inspiration from the other 2 Spider-Men that he met a few years prior. I think that would be cool if it's mentioned. If not, whatever, I think we get the gist, but I think that's really cool. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And then Peter mutating. I think it's going to open a lot of cool opportunities for some strange things. Think about Spider-Man 2 with Tobey, where he was actually kind of losing his powers. It was leaving him in spots during action where he couldn't spin his webs, he couldn't crawl walls. It kind of added another element of danger to what he was doing. And I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with Tom, where his powers are going to be so out of whack, he won't know exactly how to handle it. And it may actually cause him some issues during the movie before he undoubtedly gets everything resolved. So I'll be curious to see that. That'll be really cool. But again, I just want to hop on here and give my quick thoughts on the trailer. I'm really excited for it. I think it's July 31st. Can't come quick enough. I'm really, really excited. It feels like it's been a long time since we got another Spider-Man movie, which now it's been 5 years, which is wild. I've gotten married, moved out of my parents' house. I've done a lot of stuff since the last Spider-Man movie come out. It feels like a lifetime ago, but I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be great. If you watched this far, thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. What do you think of the trailer for Spider-Man? I'd love to know. Until next time, I'll see you later.